In this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 critical shifts that ended 25 years of self-sabotage in my life. If you've been working hard on your spiritual life, but you're not making any real progress, you're probably sabotaging yourself. This video is going to show you exactly why this happens, and more importantly, how you can stop it. And by the end, you'll have a clear roadmap for breaking free from these destructive patterns once and for all. I want to welcome you to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sean, and I've been on a spiritual journey for over 30 years. And I help souls just like you to reprogram yourself using advanced energy practices that actually work. So let's jump into today's video. For 25 years of my spiritual journey, I was my own worst enemy. I would start making progress and then sabotage it. I'd make progress in my relationships, then I'd blow them up. And when I would build momentum in my business, then I'd start making decisions that destroyed everything that I had put together. And the most frustrating part, I didn't know why I was making the same mistakes, and I didn't know how to stop doing it to myself. So let's get into the 5 shifts that I made in my life to end those 25 years of self-sabotage. The first shift I made was to stop playing the victim. You see, during the most difficult periods in my life, I saw myself as a victim. I was always blaming other people and circumstances for my problems. But this approach only made things worse. Then I realized that I had to start taking full responsibility for my mistakes. For years, I blamed my parents for my relationship problems. And I blamed the economy for my business struggles. And I blame my genetics for my weight issues. But here's what I learned the hard way. As long as you're pointing the finger at everyone else, you have zero power to change your situation. I remember the exact moment this shifted for me. I was sitting in my car after another explosive argument with my wife. And instead of thinking about all the ways she was wrong, I asked myself, we can't keep living like this. What can I do to change it? And that one simple question changed everything. Because in that moment, I took my power back. The uncomfortable truth is that we often stay in victim mode because it feels safer than taking responsibility for our problems. So if it's everyone else's fault, then we don't have to do the hard work of changing ourselves. The second shift I made was realizing that my hidden programming was a real cause of my sabotaging behavior. During this time, I began to see how my low self-worth was influencing all of my decisions from behind the scenes, and I couldn't see it. You see, when you don't think you're good enough, you'll never advance to that next level. I like to demonstrate these concepts using the stickman. The stickman was created by Dr. Thurman Fleet in the 1930s, and it's a very simple drawing. I have a large circle with a line drawn through it. The top part of the circle is your thinking mind. The bottom part of your circle is the hidden part of your nature or your unconscious mind. This bottom circle is your body. So what we have here in terms of self-sabotage are unconscious beliefs or beliefs that were given to us by our parents, our teachers, in the media during the first 7 years of our life. And what happens is when I had a goal that I wanted to go and achieve over here, my unconscious belief was not aligned with it. So what would happen is if I wanted a better relationship, or I wanted to expand my business, or I wanted to improve my health, I would work really hard to get to that point. But what was happening is my unconscious beliefs were sabotaging my success. And I was getting a completely different result, the exact opposite of what I wanted here. So the key point to this drawing is if what you want in your mind is not aligned with how you're programmed on the inside, you will continue to sabotage yourself. So this is a perfect example of self-sabotage. And another key I want to mention about the drawing is in your conscious mind, we process 40 bits of data per second. In the unconscious mind, it's 40 million bits of data per second. This is one of my most critical teachings, and I learned this from Dr. Bruce Lipton. The 40 million to 40 is a 1,000,000 to 1 ratio. The reason we struggle in our spiritual life and in life in general is we only deal with the top part of the circle, or the 40 or the 5%. And we don't spend time reprogramming the bottom part, or the unconscious mind, which is where all your power is. So it's a one-person army at the top compared to a 1,000,000-man army or 1,000,000-person army at the bottom. So this is where I spend all of my time when it comes to my spiritual, emotional, and psychological work, is in the bottom part of the circle. So guess which one is really running your life? In my unconscious mind, I had this deep programming that said, you don't deserve success, and you're not worthy of true love. And every time I got close to breaking through, my old programming would kick in and find a way to sabotage everything. The crazy part is I thought I was in control of it all. But really, I was just running those hidden programs that had been installed since I was a child. The third shift was the most difficult one for me to accept. I realized that my spiritual practices weren't powerful enough to help me solve this problem. Even worse, my old spiritual practices were keeping me comfortable in my dysfunction. Now you have to realize I'd invested 25 years of my life into these practices. I had been using prayer and meditation and going to a therapist as an excuse to hide from my outer world, where all the problems were. Instead of facing my shadow and doing the real work, I was using these practices as a place to hide. For example, I would meditate and feel peaceful for an hour, then go right back into the same destructive patterns as soon as it was over, as soon as I finished. And I kept repeating those same patterns over and over again. But here's what I learned. Surface level spiritual practices can only take you so far. They work on the conscious mind, but they can't reach those deep unconscious programs. So again, we're talking about the 5% of our power is where I was spending my time with those surface level spiritual tools. And the 95% was down here, where I didn't have access to the most powerful part of my nature, or the most powerful part of my being. It wasn't until 2019, when I discovered the ancient energy practices that I teach, that I finally had tools powerful enough to reach deep into my unconscious mind. These practices bypassed my thinking mind entirely and went directly to the source of my problems. And they have made all the difference in the world for me. The fourth shift was when I started paying more attention to when I made a mistake. This is where I realized that I had to start feeling safe enough to start succeeding again. I had a false belief that said if I succeeded, I would lose my connection with my family, and that staying small kept me as part of the group. This is something most people never think about. Your unconscious mind isn't just trying to protect you from failure, it's also preventing you from being successful. It's been programmed to believe that new success can be threatening. In my family, success was viewed with suspicion. Successful people were seen as arrogant or selfish. So my unconscious learned that to stay connected and loved, I needed to stay small and continue to struggle. So every time I started succeeding, my old programming would kick in and whisper, if you get too successful, your family won't relate to you anymore and you'll be alone. So I would unconsciously sabotage myself to maintain that connection. The breakthrough came when I realized that I could be successful and maintain loving relationships. But first I had to reprogram that false belief. Now the fifth and final shift for me was slowing down my pace and spending more time in nature. With the energy practices, I learned how to reprogram my unconscious mind and tap into that other 95% of my hidden power. That's here. The energy practices allowed me to bypass the top part of the circle and come straight down into my unconscious mind and transmute or delete or reprogram the beliefs, the opinions, and the ideas that were holding me back, and it created new beliefs and opinions that would align with my greatest purpose or my greatest gifts or my greatest mission. So what would happen is Your new unconscious belief is here, and it's aligned with what you want. So instead of having sabotaging behavior, everything now moves toward achieving this goal. So everything starts pulling and supporting the materialization, the realization, or making what you want happen in your life, or attracting what you deserve into your life, be it business, health, relationships, or finances. So to get back to what I was saying, for years I was living in this constant reaction mode. Something would happen and then I would react automatically based on my hidden programming. But when I slowed down and I started doing the energy practices, I created that extra space between the obstacle and my response. The energy practices taught me how to capture and store life force energy. This increased energy literally deleted my corrupted beliefs and replaced them with more empowering ones. I think of it like upgrading the software in your computer hard drive. So instead of being controlled by my hidden patterns, I learned to observe them, understand them, and consciously choose a different response. And this is where that first real transformation happened for me. Not in the thinking mind, but in the unconscious realm where my true power lived. Right here. The results of these 5 shifts have been life-changing. I've lost 67 pounds and I've kept the weight off. My marriage went from the brink of divorce to the best it's ever been. And my real estate business turned around and became more profitable than ever. But most importantly, I gained control over my emotional reactions and I stopped sabotaging myself. But here's what I want you to understand. This transformation didn't happen overnight. It took consistent practice with the right tools. The advanced energy practices gave me the power to reprogram patterns that had been running my life for 25 years, really for all of my life. So if you're ready to end self-sabotage, I want to help you. I've created a course called The Igniter that teaches you the same advanced energy practices that transformed my life. There's a link to the course in the description below. Remember this, your unconscious mind has been running the show for long enough. It's time to take back control and step into the power you're truly meant to have. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'm wishing you all the best on your spiritual journey.